What is up, guys? It's Jake. Sorry for the video quality. It may look kind of bad. I'm having to use my webcam instead of my actual camera because my SD card's out of commission right now, so that'll be fixed tomorrow. But the English version of the Beyblade Burst TV show actually premiered a few hours ago on TeleToon, and I was actually able to watch it. So here is my kind of spoiler-free review. Let's get right into it. Before I start the review, I have to say that there isn't going to be any footage of the actual TV show in this video. Not because I don't want to, I definitely want to, but a lot of people have been uploading videos to YouTube with like the intro or the actual full episode or something, and those videos are almost getting immediately taken down by D-Rights, who is the parent company of Sunrights, and Sunrights is the company that does the dubbing for the TV show. So I don't want to get a copyright strike on my channel, so I am not going to show any footage. But if you would like to see the full episode or even some snippets of it, then I will leave a link to the thread down below on the WBO where you can maybe get some info on how to watch the episode, so go check that out. So first, I'm going to do what my thoughts are on the intro, and then I'm going to move on to what I think of the individual voices for the different characters. I'm not really going to talk about the plot much of the episode, as this is not a review of the episode, but more of how the dub is, or how they did the English voices. So let's go. A lot of people really hate the intro. A lot of people are saying that it's awful and it's boring, and I'm kind of the 1% that actually kind of likes it. It's definitely not as hype as the original intro was in like Metal Fusion. Let's fight an epic battle, face off! It's got its own little style. It's a lot slower pace, like you could say. It actually kind of reminds me of like a newer Pokemon intro. Is it great? No, I think some of the mixing is bad. The voice, like the vocals, are a little bit too low volume compared to the music, and it's kind of mixed badly. But I think it's a pretty good intro. The only problem with it is that it's not really hype like the Metal Fusion one was. But it's not that bad. You might not think that yourself if you actually watch it. You might think it's awful. I think it's okay. So now for the voiceovers. Now, this is pretty much, I want to say, like a general consensus on the WBO. There are a few people that think otherwise, but for the most part, people don't mind it. I think that they did a pretty good job with Vault's voice. Vault is the main character. I think they did a pretty good job with his voice. His voice is a little deep sounding for being a 5th grader. That's what they say he is. He's supposed to be like a 5th grader. But it does sound like he is trying to deepen his voice himself. And I really do think it fits his kind of annoying character or his hot-headed character. So I like what they did. There aren't like any tired delivery or just flat out bad like lines or anything. I think they did a pretty good job with it. It's definitely better than Jinka's voice, if I remember correctly. His voice just got on my nerves like really quick. And the next character I like to talk about is Rentaro Akiyama, and he's the character that has Rising Ragnarok or Rock Tavor R2 for Hasbro. And I think that they completely nailed his voice. I think it is really good. I can't really say for sure because I don't really know the voice actor's name, but I think it's the same voice actor that did the voices for Jinka. It's definitely better than Jinka's voice. I think they went with this really cool sounding route with him. Now, he doesn't sound super deep voice. He doesn't sound like a kid. He sounds like someone who thinks really highly of himself and thinks he is the tippy top, but he's also kind of more humble sounding at certain parts It's really hard to explain without you actually seeing it for yourself, but I think they did a really, really good job with them. The next character I'm going to talk about is Shu Kuronai. He is the character that has Storm Spriggan, or Spritzen S2 in Hasbro's dub, I guess, their new names. And he's a character I don't really know about. He doesn't really have a lot of lines, especially in the first episode. There is definitely going to be more in the coming episodes, but just from the first episode, his voice does seem kind of basic. There isn't really some crazy gimmick with his voice, like, Vault's is like, I'm the best. I can't do it. I'm the best bleeder around. Rentaru's is kind of like, haha, I'm the best. I'm really awful at doing impressions. But Shu is just kind of more of a normal voice. And some people are saying that his voice sounds a little bit deeper than it should be. But I don't really mind it. We have to kind of wait and see for him to deliver more lines. So I can't really comment on it too much. I think it sounds pretty good. And other than that, there's really not a lot of other characters to talk about, because those are really only the only main characters that we've seen so far. The other ones would be Vault's brother and sister. Their names are completely escaping me. I can't remember their names right now. They sound pretty good. They sound like little, really energetic, annoying kids. So they kind of nailed it. They don't really have any special like voice lines or anything. So they did a pretty good job with that. And then the rest of the characters didn't really have any voice lines except for Kinsuke's puppets, Kerr and Beus. You heard like 2 seconds maybe of like, whoa, and that's amazing, or something like that. And in those 2 seconds, you see a lot of people already putting a lot of judgment, saying, oh my gosh, they sound awful. It doesn't sound like them at all. This is really, really bad. But there hasn't been any lines yet. There really hasn't been anything. And by episode 4 or 5, I think, is when we're going to get Kinsuke being a much bigger character. And then we can really make judgment on it. But I think it sounds okay. The dog sounds really dopey, which is expected. And then the cat sounds kind of like this, I don't think it sounds bad. It definitely sounds like a puppet. I don't really know any puppets that have a normal voice. Like, if you look at ventriloquist acts, they all have some sort of voice to them that makes them stand out. You don't really have any puppets sounding like this. So their kind of extreme dopiness and extreme is kind of a part of their character, and I don't mind it. I think that they did a pretty good job with music. I don't really know if that changed at all from the original. I think it might have changed a little bit, but their intense music sounds intense. Their exciting, whoa, whoa, this is awesome music sounds, whoa, whoa, this is awesome. So really, their sounds and their music and everything sounds how it should. There isn't anything out of place, and overall, I think they did a pretty good job with it. This isn't really a spoiler, but in the first episode, you do see Vault and Rantaru do a Bay battle, and you do hear a WBBA announcer announce their names and stuff like that. But what's really weird is that this WBBA guy, he actually said the names of their Beyblades. But what's kind of weird about it is he didn't say Volt Aoi with Valtryek V2. He said Volt Aoi with Victory Valtryek. And he said Rantaro Kiyama with not Rocktavor R2, but with Raging Rocktavor. And I don't know, that seemed kind of weird, because Victory Valtryek, that could be its own thing, I guess, or them forgetting about it, some sort of mistake maybe. Maybe they forgot to take out the victory part. But Raging Rocktavor, the original Japanese name was Rising Ragnarok, so changing it to Raging is definitely an intended change. So I wonder why they kind of kept the more Japanese names for the Beyblades, with having 2 names instead of just like 1 and then V2 or R2. But for the toys, they ditched it. So guys, that has been my kind of long more in-depth review of really just the dub and how well they did translating everything and the whole English version. Now, I'm not going to do a review of every week's episode or something where I talk about what happened in the show. That's not really something I want to do. I don't really think that's necessary. But this video is just to really talk about how they did translating stuff. So I think that they did a pretty good job. The intro could be a hit or miss depending on, what you think. I think it sounds pretty good. It's not great. It's not the greatest intro I've heard. But it's okay. And then they did really, really well with the dub, I think. The voice actors are delivering it pretty well. So I just really hope it continues like that. Thank you guys for watching. Have fun and bay away.